Well, the United Nations Security Council is expected to hold an emergency meeting on the current situation in the Middle East. Last night, Iran launched attacks on Israel as part of retaliation after Israel killed Iranian diplomats in Syria. For more on this, SABC News International editor Sophie Mokoena joins us now via the telephone. Ms. Sophie, thank you very much indeed for your time. We heard from Alex Cardier a bit earlier on today from Tel Aviv, describing the situation on the ground, hearing blasts and missiles, according to some of the reporters that have been on the ground. It's important now as we look to what reaction there will be to this attack from Iran on Israel. How important is the Security Council meeting that is expected today?
Well, I think the Security Council meeting will be able to issue statements and member countries will be able to issue statements. But unfortunately, it's unlikely that there will be a resolution in the Security Council. We know that the intention here is to ensure that there's a word from the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres in particular, who earlier on issued a message saying that he is indeed condemning what transpired last night and again pointing out that it is critical for the tension in the Middle East to come down because this might engulf the whole region into a conflict, and therefore he was appealing to member countries within the Gulf region or the Middle East to try and find a way to ensure that Iran doesn't continue with the attack.
All right, Ms. Sophie, are we likely to see other countries agreeing on what must be done? Surely the world needs to say something on what we see. And according to Alex, he did indicate that there might be there's a fear that there might be more of these. We don't know what is due to happen next, but are we likely to see countries agreeing on what needs to happen?
Well, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. You know that the Security Council, particularly the P5 members, are divided since the war in Ukraine. You find a situation that America and the allies will always veto any resolution that is put forward, particularly from the other P5 members. On the other hand, China and Russia does the same when America and its allies have put a resolution. And therefore, with this current development in the Middle East, much as countries might agree on de-escalation of tension, there is no way they are going to agree in terms of the way forward, because already we've seen countries such as China and also Russia supporting Iran, but saying that there must be a de-escalation. On Friday, I spoke to the Norwegian diplomat who was in South Africa to try and speak to stakeholders, in particular in government, to persuade South Africa to be more actively involved in trying to find a solution to the Ukraine-Russia war and also to the current Israel-Hamas conflict. And she pointed out when I asked her that how can South Africa be a strong voice when the Security Council itself, the body, the UN that was launched in 1948 to maintain peace, and particularly the Security Council, there's no unity or cohesion. This is what she had to say about the divisions within the Security Council, which may play itself even during this time or today when the Security Council is meeting. Let's take a listen at Mona Jewel, the diplomat who was part of the negotiations when Israel and Palestine engaged in the talks in 1993, what is known as Oslo Accord. Let's take a listen.
Russia very directly, the U.S. on the other hand as a support to Israel, and as long as we have the veto power in place, as long as we have a composition of the Security Council dating back to the original charter of the UN, I think it is now time for also a reform of the Security Council.
All right, Ms. Sophie, so any word from the BRICS member countries as yet?
We've not had much, but we know that China has issued a statement saying that the tension must de-escalate, and unfortunately we are still waiting for other countries because of the time difference. Later today we might hear from Brazil, and you know that in relation to India, another powerful country, they are going to elections this week, and therefore they will be very measured in terms of the response. South Africa, on the other hand, we will be speaking to Minister of International Relations, who is campaigning for the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, and I think she is also going to be measured. Our colleague Samkela Maseko, who's trailing the president in Orange Farm, will also try and speak to the president or ask the president about the latest situation in the Middle East. But I expect South Africa to be diplomatic, but also to be very measured in relation to what has transpired. I think South Africa will call for peace and de-escalation of tension. And therefore, other countries might do the same, because fortunately, Iran has pointed out that the operation has ended. But if Israel does attack or retaliate, they are ready, and it will be even more forceful. And therefore, that's the fear, that if Israel is going to retaliate, and Israel has already indicated that it will do so. President Joe Biden, after meeting his security team yesterday, asking the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, not to retaliate, but Benjamin Netanyahu saying that he is going to retaliate and not willing to accede to Biden's request that they shouldn't do this in a space of 48 hours, and also other countries calling on Israel not to retaliate. But Iran saying, if you retaliate, we are going to do that. We know that most of these drones and missiles were intercepted by the defense system of both Israel and the United States of America. But Iran saying that if they continue to attack Iran, they will come with more better capability. And we know that they've been buying arms from Russia, and also they have their own capacity in terms of building the military capability.
Ms. Sophie, thank you very much indeed. I'm sure you'll keep us abreast of all the latest there, including what the United Nations Security Council has to say about what we've heard, or what has been described as unprecedented Iran's attack on Israel. Thank you very much indeed.